Hello and welcome, it's Matt Finnegan here. You're watching another Soccer Insight betting preview brought to you by betting-insight.com. And in this preview we're looking at Southampton versus Spurs, and this could be a fascinating game for more reasons than one. But let's have a quick look at the index prices for this game. Southampton, we rate that at 2.75, 288 Spurs, and the draw at 3.5. But Southampton started the season really well, but no victories in the last 5 games, just 2 points from a possible 15. Spurs, as you know, that heavy defeat last week was the end of AVB, and they're on the search for a new gaffer to sort of lead them to the promised land. And so this is a tough game, but I think it's a game that you will have a number of opportunities depending on which side of the fence or which way you sort of fall in terms of thinking who's going to win the game. But you remember, with betting, you don't have to predict a winner, and this could be a tough game. Now, looking at the head-to-head, since Southampton came back in the Premier League, just one season in the past 7 seasons, that was last year, and Spurs had a victory, so just one game on the head-to-head there. Let's have a look at the early exchange prices for this game. You can see not a lot of money matched, and you'll notice that Spurs is over 2-1, and so there were a bit of value going in there. Southampton, given their record. Now, if this had been a normal run of the week, and if this was, say, a couple of weeks ago when Spurs are on the back of a couple of victories, I would expect these prices to be totally flipped. Southampton nearer to sort of 2-1, and Spurs nearer to sort of 6-4 as a result, and that's how things can sort of change. But bearing on the basis of this is that Spurs are a little bit of value, and I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't come closer together with the price. You can see the draw as well, 3.4. That may have a little bit of movement in there as well, but not sort of too far. But going into the game, Spurs are the sort of early value. Just keep an eye on that. They may sort of drop at some point below that sort of 3.0. But one to sort of look out for. Let's have a look at the options if you fancy either team to win or get a result. Well, no value. Southampton a little short against our sort of index price. We rate them at a 7-4, 13-8, a little bit short. That's going to limit your options, within the markets in terms of where you sort of play that. It sort of almost rules out playing Dutch in 1 or 2 sort of goals. You're not sort of going to get that option. One option that you could have is them to win either half, 4-5. If you can get that or a little bit bigger, that may enter your sort of thought process. But I think Spurs are capable of scoring in this game. So if Southampton are to win, the race to 2 goals, 15-8, that ramps it up a little bit higher than the index price, and that's one that you can sort of consider. From that sort of point of view, is that if Southampton are to win the game, probably going to need 2 goals. But if they're in the race to 2 goals, it doesn't matter what actually happens in the actual game. They could lose 3-2, and you'll still be sort of collecting. So that's a couple of options there, but in the main with this game you've got limited options because Southampton a little bit shorter, but they could move out towards that index price, and if they sort of went above 2.7 on the exchange, I wouldn't put you taking that because it's very, very close to our sort of tissue price, the prices that we use at oddspredictor.com, and for that reason then you get an almost fair value. So then if you do fancy 3 points, so it might be a case of sitting on your hands if you fancy Southampton, wait to see if the markets move in your favour, and then if you want to play your hand. But also you don't have to play it pre-game. Southampton will move out in the first 10-15 minutes if the game is 0-0, unless they're totally dominating the game, which I don't think they will. So there will be some movement as the draw price decays. There will be some movement in Southampton, possibly moving out towards that tissue price, so you can play in running there. Spurs, well, they're good value against the OP index price, and 2-1 slightly bigger. If you do fancy them to win, then sort of take that price. I can only see it probably shortening over the weekend. I'd be surprised if Southampton drop below 6-4, meaning Spurs going out to around about 9-4. I can't see them happening. That would be just too big of a team, around the sort of the top 6 at the moment. Draw no bet. If you can get 11-10, 2-10 on Spurs, I quite like that sort of price. Anything around that or a little bit bigger, that's a consideration. You get your money back if they don't go on to win. So a bit of insurance there, but you're still getting odds against. And 11-10 would be a fair price based on the sort of the index prices that we've got. A speculative bet, Spurs to keep a clean sheet around 5-2. Now that is speculative. They've had a heavy defeat, so they want to sort of look to tighten things up. They were defensively good, sort of prior going into recent sort of developments where they were seeking more goals and more expansive sort of play. They may revert back to that. It's a difficult sort of fixture, and that is speculative 5-2 that Southampton basically don't score. Spurs keeping a clean sheet there, so just something for you to consider. Let's have a look at the winning margins here, and basically you've also got with the Spurs with 3.3, 1 or 2 goals, and they're not going to beat, I don't think, Southampton by 3 goals. So again, that could enter your equations if you do think that they're going to win. But because they're already good value, I didn't feel it sort of was worth put that in the sort of the preview. 1 or 2 sort of goals. Southampton is just going to take it above that index again. So again, you could put that into your sort of thought process if you feel Southampton are going to win the actual game. One that you could sort of get involved in is Dutching either team to sort of win by a 1-goal margin. Don't care who wins the result. That's going to give you around, I would say, around about 11-8 at the best sort of prices there. And it doesn't matter who wins, as long as nobody wins by 2 clear goals, you're going to be sort of collecting there. Looking at the overs and under sort of prices here, you will sort of see that a lot of the juice is actually it's on the over sort of price here. It's suggesting is on the unders price, suggesting that tight sort of game. You can see 1.44 ISR index, and that is just a reflect of how over the sort of medium term period that there's a real sort of major sort of influencer on the sort of the tissue prices, and against similar sort of classes, suggesting that should be way short. Not in reality going to be that, because people would just pile into the overs and that, but you got value with the unders at 5-6 there, and certainly wouldn't put you off taking the unders price if you think it's going to be a tight game. But because there is sort of value, 2 to 3 goals around even money as well, that's going to enter your thought process with that. Let's have a look at finally at some in-play stats, and that sort of tight nature. 40% chance of a goal before half time if it is 0-0 at 25 minutes. You're going to be getting value back in 0-0 in the half-time market, or under 0.5 goals at that sort of period. It's only a 40% sort of chance that you'll go and actually sort of see a goal in those final sort of 20 minutes. There's something to bear in mind there. But there's a 77.5% chance of that middle 45 minutes, 25 to 70, that the goal will happen, and that of course includes goals prior to sort of 25 minutes. But if there is, it is the catalyst. So if that goal does happen, chances are that it's more than 4 in 5 games that we'll see another goal at some point during the game. Finally, it's a 63.33% chance of a goal happening after 65 minutes. So it does lend itself for a late goal in this game. So if you are watching that and get into a position of strength, with that you can then sort of use and play up those profits. This suggests that they're most likely going to be a late goal, and you're going to get above, I would say, 1.58 at that particular sort of time, 65 minutes. So that's just some of the in-play stats. That's it from me. Hope you found this preview useful. Subscribe to the channel if you like what you see, and keep a check of all the video previews that we do, not only on football but also on the NFL. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.